back live here at Daytona, lap number 56 of 110 for the American Sim Racing Tour as they squeeze by some lap traffic, all being led by Brianna Laurent, Tyler Hurt, Russ Hancock, Rob Duvidek, Ethan Horst here. Well past halfway in tonight's race, or playoff racing for the American Sim Racing Tour live right here on turn 1. First time we have seen that driver in the in that 8 machine, Brianna Laurent, no, 6 car rather, up front here in one of these super speedway races. But partnered up with Russ Hancock, Ethan Horst, and Tyler Hurt. That driver up front here at Daytona. Got a car into the wall. They're going to squeeze through there and not going to cause any trouble. No caution. That outside line, not really well put together here. 2 and 3 wide, but out front, Laurent being pushed by Ethan Horst right there. That bottom line continuing to roll as they come through the front stretch. Car breakout led by the 6, the 15, and the 10. Grayson Pate. Now Ambrose Nebel moving up to the top 4 here. He is sitting right on that inside car there, just behind the 10, almost in frame. As we're going to see Ethan Horst out break out to the high line. He's going to take Grayson Pate with him. Pate right to the bumper, tight as glue as they come through the front stretch. Several cars make contact there with the wall. As they're going to check up, we're going to get our camera fixer. Go back to Ethan Horst up front. Laurent hanging on to the bottom. Nebel moving up. Is Horst now stuck on that very high line right along with Kirby Caputo. He's going to move way back. Laurent's going to continue to lead on the bottom here. Nebel moving up into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. Tyler Hurt's going to pick up the outside line. Two by two they go down the front stretch here. Lap number 60 of 110. 50 laps remaining in tonight's Daytona race under the lights here for the American Sim Racing Tour, live on turn 1. Playoff racing at its finest here, side by side. Pit strategy at play. Cautions coming into a factor, but ultimately, Laurent's going to duck down real deep underneath that yellow line. That's going to slow up that inside line. That's Ambrose Nebel hanging on for the ride in the meantime. That's going to give Tyler Hurt, Grayson Pate the opportunity to move up front. Both those drivers get clear. Pate's going to move down to the bottom. Whoa, big wiggle out of Laurent again. A little bit of nerves coming into the factor there on the sticks. No, we got a car in the grass. That's Dalton Gibson. He's not gonna merge up. Oh, it's gonna be a little bit of a wreck towards the rear, and that's gonna bring the caution out. Looks like Will Weber may have been involved in that as well. Let's take a quick look and find out what exactly happened there to bring that caution out. Oh, Weber gets sideways. That's what gets Gibson down into the grass. And then he ultimately loses it, collecting a couple cars. One of the fast drivers here tonight, bringing out the caution here at Daytona. Under caution here once again tonight under the lights. Lap number 62. They're going to catch up with the pace car, and we're going to step aside and pay some bills. You're watching turn 1. Tyler Hurt, Grayson Pate, Russ Hancock, Rob Duvidek, Ethan Horst, your top 5 here as they get ready to get back green flag, racing lap number 65 here at Daytona for the American Sim Racing Tour. Pit stops in the books. These drivers are going to have to stop at least one more time. We're going to see how this is all going to shake out. 45 laps remaining here tonight. The green flag back out in the restart zone. Away they go. Hurt on the outside, Hancock. Hard on the push. And really, the top 4 here is kind of all spread out. This field's really starting to segment out just a little bit between pit strategy, team politics, and working around these drivers. We see a lot of folks here kind of towards the rear of the field or up front for the first time here tonight. Again, single file, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom there. They continue to roll here. Just now really getting up to speed. Again, being led by Tyler Hurt. With Tyler looking for any opportunity to bring home a checker flag here tonight as they approach the season end for the American Sim Racing Tour. Coming down the backstretch. Again, fully up to speed at this point. Takes about 2 laps to wind these next-gen cars all the way up here at Daytona as Dalton Gibson now on the high line works his way forward. And now all of a sudden, it's a 3-way battle for the lead. There's a switch on the bottom. Gibson's going to take the lead away on that bottom line. And now all of a sudden, both lines double file here. All being led by Hurt, Holloway. There, Dalton Gibson, Eddie Morris, Russ Hancock, your top 5. Everybody jockeying for position. We see that outside group start to fall apart just a little bit here. We got a car into the wall as well. Oh, going to be tight coming through that tri-oval. They're going to stay green. Tyler Hurt, Daniel Holloway continue to lead right here on the bottom. And they're also going to have Eddie Morris right there with him. Dalton Gibson, Ambrose Nebel, the closest competition, but these 3 starting to break away in a 3-car run. Now all of a sudden that outside lane is starting to fall apart a little bit. Being led by Nebel, and I believe that was I'm not sure who else was out there in that line, but now it looks like Will Weber is back up front, involved in that caution just a little while ago. Weber. Now cruising on that inside line, working his way back up front. We talked about it a little while ago. He is a fast driver here, continually running in the top 5. Had a little bit of an incident on the front stretch now. Back up into the top 4 here. Nebel running P5. He's got Carl Lingle all over his rear bumper there. That's Chris Akers as well back there in the mix. We've seen Candy Shack be really fast here tonight with the 29 of Chris Akers. Now sitting back here in the back pack a little bit, riding around in 7th place. Kirby Caputa, then the next car back. He is sitting 8th right now. Russ Hancock and Grayson Pate, your top 10. Again, this race is taking a little bit of a different tone with Tyler Hurt leading out front right now. Everybody's settled in and settled down just a little bit. We've seen a lot of aggressive maneuvering all over the racetrack. But as we come to less than 40 laps remaining here tonight, playoff racing on the lines at Daytona, you've still got to take into consideration one more pit stop and obviously trying to survive those 40 laps, and when really the racing conditions could change at any time at these super speedways for these next gen cars. Five-car breakaway And then it's Chris Akers sitting there trying to catch on. He's going to make that a 6-car breakaway. And then about a 5, let's call it a 10-car gap all the way back to Kirby Kafuta. Again, and the caution's out. We've got folks, I saw folks, we got 2 cars spun here and several going through the grass. Under caution once again. It looks like Brandon Laurent involved, Dalton Gibson. Russ Hancock may have been involved in that as well. Let's run that. Let's take a look here and find out what may have happened to the 6 machine as she got involved here. Bringing out the caution as they come across the stripe to take 40 to go. Towards the rear of the field. Oh, it looks like she had a driver come up. That may have been Hancock. Couple other, yeah, that may have been Russ come up there and wasn't quite clear. And unfortunately that 6 car, who we've seen lead some laps here early tonight, gonna bring out, or be involved in the caution here on lap number 70. We're gonna step aside for just a moment and come back to Green Flag Racing with about 36 to go here with the American Sim Racing Tour. You're watching Turn 1. Racetrack lights are off, getting ready to take lap number 74 here at Daytona. Tyler Hurt, DJ Madish, Ambrose Nebel, Russ Hancock, Will Weber, your top 5. You're going to see a long line of cars on that inside line. That's because we saw a lot of drivers come down pit road with 1 to go to top off on fuel. We'll see how that plays out in the strategy. But ultimately, the green flag is back out. We're back Speedway Racing here for the American Sim Racing Tour. That inside line is going to be well put together as we see Tyler Hurt. He broke out to a pretty strong start out front, about a 4-car run. Ambrose Nebel's going to quickly catch up to him, take advantage of that draft. DJ Madish up front for the first time here tonight, running in the top 3. We talked about that caution coming out and Hancock being involved there. I believe he may have made contact with the 6. At least that's what it looked like from my perspective. Either way, that driver taking advantage of the single faster pair he has available to him. Currently running 4th right now. Russ Hancock back up front. Will Weber there as well. We saw Weber bring out a caution earlier as well. And ultimately, right now, settled into P5 here as they run, coming across the stripe. Lap 75 of 110. So during the caution, myself and the producer were talking about getting gas mileage and fuel strategies out of these drivers. As Nebel's going to break out to the high line, almost try to make a run by himself here. Tyler Hurt's going to try to side draft to slow him down. In the meantime, that door is going to shut down, but Nebel's going to get clear. And now all of a sudden, Ambrose Nebel out front for the first time here tonight. But as I was talking about, myself and the producer tonight, Miss Lisa Fitz, helping us out in the booth. Appreciate her for always stepping up. We're talking about the fuel mileage strategy. These drivers came down pit road, wanted to go to top off, and not really understanding that call. You need about 10 to 15 caution laps to really make it the whole way. But I am sure a lot of these drivers have got the strategy in mind here to be up front when it matters most at the very end when the checker flag is flying at this 2.5-mile racetrack at Daytona. Nebel, Hurt, Madish, Hancock, Weber, your top 5. Morris back into the top 6 here. See a little bit of racing action back here. That's Russ Hancock, Guy Braco, and a couple others. Battling it out back there as all of a sudden we're back 2 by 2. Rolling through the corner. That outside line. Pretty strong push on the move here. All of a sudden, Horst back on the move in the 15 car. He's got Guy Braco with him once again. Nice to see, as we talked about, that 1 car having a strong run here. Been up front for a couple or many different opportunities here tonight. Trying to break back into the top 5. Ambrose Nebel up front. Continuing to lead. Tyler Hurt, Ethan Horst, Braco, and Dalton Gibson, your top 5. Nebel looking to upset the championship points here. Shake things up. Currently leading as they come to the stripe to take lap number 78. Quickly closing in on 30 to go. Just 32 laps remaining here tonight. As we've been talking about, again, a fuel strategy situation at play right now. We're going to have to see these drivers come down at least for a can of fuel before the end of the race. And that's ultimately why we may be seeing the drivers like the 8 of Eddie Morris, the 21 of Daniel Holloway, Chris Akers, and more. They're all rolling back there in 13th, 14th, 15th. They're on cruise control. No point in really pushing the issue. We talked about it earlier. You've got to be there when it matters most. And most of these drivers want to find themselves either in the very front, the tip of the spear, out of drama. Ambrose Nebel perfectly demonstrating that. There's really nothing that could go wrong with him, especially if he has a car that's perfect for pushing, or a partner rather that is great at pushing. Or you want to be in the rear of this pack. You do not want to be in the middle of it. And you want to be back towards the rear, where really ultimately it can give you an opportunity to make up time and check up with the chaos brewing in front of you. We were talking earlier during the broadcast how you can go from laps to first in a matter of a backstretch, but really, more like a lap or so, you could really make some moves here. So, we're seeing a couple cars head down below the yellow line there, as we see that outside line starting with a move here. Kirby Caputa making a move on the high line. Hurt tried to move up and block it. Caputa, though, was too fast, got a little squirrely. Now he is going to be leading on the outside line with a push. The grace of Pate, the 10 car. Again, Pate putting together a strong run here tonight. We've seen him up front a couple times, especially pushing some cars, but now he's going to drop Kirby Caputa. Oh, we got cars wrecking down into turn 2. So far, no caution, but that's going to have to change. We have several cars get involved there. Maybe not. No, we're going to continue. There it is. I was about to say we're going to continue to run. We had several cars wrecking. Wow, and I saw Dalton Gibson, Matt Binky, Rob Duvidak, Carl Lingle, and a couple others. They're still wrecking back there, it looks like. And they're just now getting them straightened out. As it looks like they got them rolling. Take a quick look and find out what may have brought this caution out. I think there was a little bit of craziness happening even before this. Let's take a look from DJ's Maddish perspective. This looks like right before the yellow flag. Let's see what was going on. DJ Maddish was down on the apron. Oh, he just gets sideways by himself, but I think that was kind of preamble to everything happening in front of him. Yeah, we see several cars spinning there. Maddish is just going to drive by, but he was already down in the grass. I believe that was Chris Akers right there with him as well. Either way, under the caution once again here tonight at Daytona. Grayson Pate, Tyler Hurt, Ambrose Nebel up front, running in your top 3 right now. We're going to step aside one more time. You're watching Turn 1. Coming back. It's about 26 laps remaining tonight under the lights here at Daytona for the American Sim Racing Tour playoff of racing here tonight. Out front, Grayson Pate, Kirby Caputa, Tyler Hurt, Ethan Horst, Ambrose Nebel, your top 5. Pace truck's going to head down pit road. Pate and Caputa going to get them started, bring them all the way down to the restart zone. Green flag back out. These drivers get up to speed. Now the pit strategy is going to come into play. We're going to see some of these drivers probably not necessarily start playing some games, but some folks are going to start riding around a little off pace, and that's okay. In the draft, that's possible. We're going to come back to the stripe. I believe that's going to be our 25 to go number, or 26 to go there. Either way, we are going to be right on the edge of a fuel window for these drivers here tonight. And if we get another caution, everybody can make it the rest of the way. But ultimately, before that, if you're riding around in the draft, or if you have a couple cars that are going to run block for you, now's the time to get that coordinated so you can ride around here half throttle, make up 1 or 2 laps of fuel mileage. The 10 car, by the way, he's not worried about no fuel mileage. He's out front, free and clear. Off the push, Kirby Caputa, Tyler Hurt right there with him as well. Nebel sitting comfortably in 4th. Again, a strong night for Ambrose in that 04 car. Really just more of an unassuming night for that driver, just hanging out up front. Ethan Horst, your top 5. Another driver we're seeing up front here so far tonight is that 33 car of Smith hanging out. He's currently 6th. We haven't seen him up front in a hot minute. He's going to be get the push from Chris Akers. Daniel Holloway is also going to be running 8th right now. Eddie Morris, Russ Hancock, your top 10. Again, we want to take close attention to the 29, the 21, and the 343. Those 3 drivers all together in Team Candy Shack. Been really strong. I think combined have a total win count of, I think, 5 or more. And ultimately here tonight, as we go back and watch the race for the lead with Grayson Pate, ultimately, it could come down to any one of these drivers, but we look at stats. Candy Shack's impressive. We saw Caputa get down on the apron as he rolled into turn 3 there. That's going to slow that inside lineup. You do not want to see that kind of inconsistent slowness. And here comes Akers to the front. Remember how we were talking, you could go from last to first? Well, Akers on the bumper of Holloway went from 8th to the lead in all of about half a lap or so. And now, the 29, the 21, commanding run to the front, back down to the inside. New leader, the 29. That outside line only has about 4 or 5 cars in it. It looks like Duvidak back there. He is out there with another machine. I believe that may have been Ambrose. Oh no, they're going to move down. So that was Duvidak. He had Eddie Morris with him. And these cars really starting to get a little loose. Full fuel load is going to play a factor, but handling is usually not too much of a deal here at these super speedway races. But you're starting to see everybody get a little wiggly, as my daughter would call it, here at Daytona. Single file they go, led by the 29. Chris Akers, he's got his buddy the 21 right tight on the bumper. We talked about needing to save to a number. Does the 29, the 21 know something that we don't? That's very possible. We see them up front. If I were to be a betting man, if they felt like they did not have the fuel they needed to get to the very end, and they were going to try to stretch it, they would not be at the tip of the spear, the front of the line here at Daytona. You do not want to be the driver breaking that air and developing that bubble if you want to be there at the very end. Especially with a fuel mileage. Obviously, the person leading the charge is going to get the worst mileage while everybody behind them. As the further back you go in terms of car count, the bigger that air bubble gets and the more fuel you're going to save as you roll around here. And at times, half throttle or even less at Daytona. I've been in the draft several times here at this racetrack over the years. You could roll around at a quarter throttle with the right people in the right atmosphere with the right cars and still maintain a top 5 position. All single filed out. Everybody spaced out accordingly. Nobody really willing to make a jump or make a move just yet. As they come across the stripe, there's 21 laps remaining in tonight's event. Being led by the 29 with the 21 right in tow. We talked about needing to be there at the end. Well, counterintuitive to that, you've also got to realize when it's time to stop giving and start taking. And that switch is really these drivers are starting to think about when to make that flip. You don't want to make it too soon. You don't want to be up front. You don't want to be out there challenging, being a little rough with the competitors until you're ready to go. Some of these drivers getting ready to start moving forward here and be ready to tackle or be ready to start pushing through the field. Some will start doing it with 8 to go. Some will start doing it with 5 to go. Others, they're going to lay back and wait for the chaos to ensue. But it's ultimately going to be one person here tonight that's going to bring home the checkered flag for the American Sim Racing Tour playoff racing here at Daytona. Akers and Holloway continue to drive that inside, or the only line rather, not the inside line, but continuing to hold those cars right down to the yellow line. Pretty much a 10 to 12 car single file group right behind them, led by Chris Akers. Holloway right behind him. They come across the stripe here. We see I believe that was Kirby Caputo, really get loose and swing the car out just a little bit. It was Caputo. He's going to, that is not the smooth drive. That's not the smooth hold of the wheel you want to have, especially if you want to be able to keep up the pace. And you'll see the drivers behind that 83 car check up or otherwise have to slow up a little bit, and that's going to slow the entire lineup. But it is also very difficult to hold a line in some of these cars and configurations and tracks here at these super speedways. Let's quickly go through the field while we have a quick opportunity and ride on board. Let's ride on board with Tyler Hurt and that 8 car, or I'm sorry, the 16 car, who's been up front several times here tonight. Tyler Hurt currently running 8th place right behind Rob Duvidek. Yep. Everybody down pit road. Green flag stops in effect. It looks like this is going to be the entire field. Nobody felt they could come, or nobody felt like they could make it the rest of the way. In the meantime, though, Eddie Morris, Rob Duvidek, Chase Greer, DJ Madish, Guy Braco, Will Weaver are going to continue to run. 6 cars are going to remain on the lead lap here, and they're going to stay out. We'll see if they come down. With 15 laps remaining, we see a lot of the fast guys elect to come down pit road. That number, that fuel mileage must have just been too far out of the window. We'll see if Eddie Morris and Duvidek decide to bump down pit road. Duvidek's going to do it. Yes, they are going to come down as well. Top offs and last pit stops underway here at Daytona. Everybody looks like it was a pretty fast entry for Eddie Morris and co, but they're going to get slowed up and hit the box. In the meantime, let's go back and take a look at our leaders right now. Chris Akers and team all starting to get back up to speed. These guys have enough fuel to make it all the way to the end here with 14 laps remaining and really haven't lost much of this group. It's Chris Akers is going to transition to the lead as they come across the start-finish line. He's going to have Daniel Holloway with him. That will then be Grayson Pate, Kirby Caputa, Dalton Gibson in this pack. They're going to cycle through here, but you're going to see in just a moment pop up on your screen the group that just came down pit road. Who was the best at executing that stop? Well, right now, Chris Akers and Daniel Holloway and co, they're going to be up to speed. We'll see if Rob Duvidek, Eddie Morris, and others will be able to catch on, latch onto this draft. They're well organized. They're going to be able to attach to this lead pack group led by the 29 car. So we will have about a 10-car group racing all the way to the checkered flag here. And they're going to get picked up. Oh, evasive maneuvers. Who was that? That was, oh goodness. We had a driver take a hard left there. I'm not quite sure who that was. Taking a look. That may have been Chase Greer. I'm not 100% who that was back there, but either way, that was hard left. While the rest of the field had to try to come check up and move down. Again, we talk about the give and take coming to a head here with a lot of these drivers electing to start taking more than giving here as the laps continue to wind down at Daytona. Just 12 laps remaining. And again, we have a strong pack up front. Some of the regulars up here led by the 29 car. We've not seen Guy Braco or Will Weaver come down pit road just yet. I do not believe. They are, yep, no, that is correct. They are still sitting 1-2 right now. And out front, about a 19-second lead. I don't think there's really any way these two drivers can make it the whole way, but it looks like they're going to try to give it a shot as they come down the front stretch here, take the start-finish line. That's going to be 11 laps remaining here at Daytona. Going back to Chris Akers and Daniel Holloway. And that group, assuming we see Guy Braco and a couple others come down pit road, this will be the race for the lead here out of this pack right now with Akers, Holloway, Pate, Caputa, Gibson, Morris, looks like, and Rob Duvidek pulling up the rear end of this group. As we talked about, this is about a 7-car pack here. That again, if we see Guy Braco or Will Weaver come down pit road, this will be the race for the finish here. Single file to save the fuel. We look at timing. Out front, they're starting to run down. Guy Braco, Will Weaver, that's a gap that was 19 seconds 2 laps ago, now down to 17. As they come across the stripe, 10 laps remaining here tonight under the lights for the American Sim Racing Tour. Right here on turn 1, all led by the 29 car. Or I'm sorry, all led by the 1 car with the 92 up front. They're just now sitting just a little more than 18 seconds out front there with Chris Akers, Daniel Holloway, Grayson Pate, Kirby Caputa, Dalton Gibson, Eddie Morris, Rob Duvidek, Carl Lingle, your top 10. Oh, and it looks like Guy Braco, Will Weaver, they're going to come down pit road. They're going to hit the box. They will forfeit the lead here with a 2-car pack. I don't think they're going to have enough to get there up front back to Chris Akers. They're down pit road. And we're going to see that 18-second gap all but disappear, and there it is. Akers now up front, your leader with 9 laps remaining. So as we talked about, now that the 92 and the 1 has come down pit road, we are going to see essentially our race winner come out of this pack right here. Who's going to have enough to be there at the very end? Well, guess what? They're already starting to get a little chaotic. That's Akers down all by his lonesome down on the inside. Now here comes Dalton Gibson and a couple others on the move on the high line. That's Grayson Payton back to the front. Things starting to get wild down the backstretch. Eddie Morris now out front with the 99 on a hard push. That's Duvedek on that high line, starting to pull it back together once again. Look back behind him. They have about a 5-car length gap. Caputo, though, is in trouble. He's going to lose that draft on the outside, but here comes the 29 of Akers with the push. He's going to pick up Holloway as well. 7 laps remaining. We were talking about it just 10 laps ago. When is the go switch? When is it time to flip that switch and start moving forward? You're no longer racing to be conservative. You're no longer trying to be really safe with it. You need to go. When is that going to be? Well, right now, a lot of these drivers are starting to think about it's go time. And we see Eddie Morris, Rob Duvedek. They're way out front right now. Here comes the outside line. That's Grayson Payton, Dalton Gibson. This is about the time we'll see the 29, the 21 also make a move. We'll keep close tabs on that. Right now, they're stuck behind the 99 on that inside row. Eddie Morris continues to lead that inside group, while the outside of Grayson Payton and the 7 car of Dalton Gibson nose to tail as they come through turn 1. Dalton Gibson is going to look to the inside. That's going to bring the 29 right to the bumper of the 10. Those two connected is going to be trouble. Here comes the 21 as well. They're going to get cleared out on the bottom. Dalton Gibson now goes from the leader to the... He's now 4th in one corner. Daniel Holloway all by his lonesome on the high side. Kirby Caputo as they come across the straight. 5 laps remaining here. Grayson Payton continuing to dominate. That Shake and Bake team driver really making a name for himself here tonight. He's been leading several laps, been up front most of the night. That 10 car up there competing with some of the fastest drivers of this group. But right now, I would argue one of the more successful drivers, or at least one of the more successful teams leading right now. That's the 29 car, Chris Akers. After we see Pate move up to the high side and back out of the drama, Akers now takes the lead, and they're single file rolling through 3 and 4. They've got enough fuel to make it to the end. We're not going to see anybody duck down pit road on the last couple laps to take a splash of fuel. As they come across the stripe, 4 to go. It's ultimately who's going to step out and make a move here to bring home the checkered flag. Right now, the 8 car glued to the bumper of the 29. These two are not teammates, and I suspect we would see these two really start dividing things out. If we need to watch closely for that 29 and that 21 to get together, I wouldn't be surprised if Duvedek gets together with, Duvedek gets together with Eddie Morris again. We've seen those two drivers put together a run here tonight. Everybody kind of testing the waters. Again, running out of laps here at Daytona. Who is going to move up front? Akers right now off the bumper of the 8 cars. They roll back through the tri-oval. 3 laps remaining here. Caputo starting to fall back a little bit, so it's going to be this 4-car run. That's Akers, Morris, Duvedek, Holloway. I'm sorry, 5, with Pate right there pulling up the rear. And this Caputa, Dalton Gibson, Carl Lingle, Tyler Hurt, Chase Greer, your top 10. But really, it's going to come down to these 5 cars unless we see a strong run. In the meantime, here's one that's going to start moving. That's Daniel Holloway on the high line. I think that picked up Grayson Pate up there. Now, all of a sudden, Holloway in trouble. That was a false start. He's going to lose a spot there. They're back in the single files. They come through the tri-oval. 2 laps to go here at Daytona. Who's going to make the move? Do you do it this lap, or do you wait for that white flag to come out? We're going to find out in about 45 seconds what is going to be our final lap if we get that white flag. Keep in mind, NASCAR overtime is a potential, but if we come across that white flag as they come across the stripe next time by, they will race all the way back around to the checkered. The 29 continues to lead with Eddie Morris on the push. Nobody challenging thus far. Keep a close eye on the 99, the 10, and the 21 as they roll off into turn 1 and 2. They're going to come all the way down this start-finish line. We're going to see the white flag one more time around for the American Sim Racing Tour here at Daytona. So far, everybody committed to that line. It is not going to last long, though. We see Grayson Pate poke his nose out just a little bit. Does Eddie Morris push the 29 out pretty far and try to make the move? Coming down the backstretch. There they go. They're going to start spreading out. All of a sudden, that outside line's on the move. That's Morris on the push with the 99. Eddie Morris now all of a sudden with a huge run with the 99 glued right to the bumper. The 29 and the 21 connected. They're going to have to deal with some lap traffic. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a master move. Out of the 8 and the 99, it's going to be a drag race. I believe that's going to be a Rob Duvedek win for you. That was a tight finish. According to scoring, the winner of tonight's race, the 99, Rob Duvedek. Congratulations to Rob. What a wild finish there. Right back, or right on the bumper of Eddie Morris when it was all said and done. Those two managed that run perfectly. Ultimately, the 29 and the 21 just fell a little too far behind there at the end of the race. As the fireworks light up the sky here at Daytona, we want to say thank you for tuning in here tonight. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have post-race coverage right here on Turn 1, but we do appreciate you tuning in as the 99 is going to bring home the checkered flag here tonight alongside Eddie Morris, P2, Chris Akers, Daniel Holloway, Grayson Pate, your top 5, Carl Lingle, Chase Greer, Tyler Hurt, Russ Hancock, and Dalton Gibson, rounding out your top 10. On behalf of the league admins, I'm Sean Fitz. I appreciate you tuning in. It's been an interesting night here at Turn 1, and even more interesting racing on the track. On behalf of the league admins, we appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time for more racing action as the 99 bruises down on the front stretch. Have a great Monday evening, everybody. Bye-bye.